Okay, we are going to talk today about the Democratic Party. I know they're crying and bullshit about the Capitol riot. It's been going on for over a month, a month as of yesterday, believe it or not. But they're bitching and moaning more on the floor, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to go over it now. And yes, I have a beard because I work outside for a living. And it's the middle of fucking winter. Now, the Democratic Party, as of past couple of days, mostly Congressmen, AOC, Tlaib, Omar, all these other fuckers, are, and that's what they are fuckers, are bitching and crying. It's because, okay. People of color and race and all this other bullshit. First and foremost, I said this a million times already, but I'm going to say it again now because I can. When the riot was going on, every member of Congress demanded the Capitol Police protect them with guns. The same people that say you don't need a gun because blah, 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 blah. They stood behind the Capitol Police and they ordered the Capitol Police to use guns to protect them from danger. Okay? The very next day, the same exact politician said, wow, if these guys were black, the Capitol Police would have shot them because police are racist. So when the invasion is going on, please protect me. After the invasion happens, you're a fucking racist. You would have killed a black guy. Okay, cool. There was one person on one side killed, a white woman who was in the Air Force. It was deemed justifiable. There was one white person that was killed on the other side, a Capitol Police officer who had served in Iraq in the army. His death is murder. That's what they say. So both sides, white people killed. Now, you say that they would have killed black people. Did they kill black guys that were involved in BLM last time? Nope. Here's the problem. The last president to legitimately, the last Democrat to legitimately speak against racism was JFK. LBJ did sign the Civil Rights Act, but his opponent, Barry Goldwater, believes civil rights should be reserved for the states. In other words, the Civil Rights Act should have been passed at the state level. Well, Republican-controlled states, you had black guys working as brain surgeons. Democrat-controlled states, you had black guys being lynched for learning how to read. So that's why you needed a federal act. But because Barry Goldwater voted no, LBJ signed it into law, and he took advantage of that. He did sign the Civil Rights Act, but he had a little thing to gain from it. He quoted, these niggers voting Democrat for the next 200 years. Okay? Now, Democrats don't complain about racism when 40% of aborted babies are black. Democrats don't complain about racism when New York City, a black baby is more likely to be aborted than born. Okay? Democrats didn't complain about racism when Cecile Richards said on Halloween Day, it is safer for a black woman to abort than to carry full term. Democrats didn't complain about racism when 1/3 of 3 consecutive generations of blacks were aborted. 1/3. Okay? Democrats didn't complain about racism in 2019 when a black man was 3,500 times more likely to be killed by a black man than by a police officer. Murdered by a police officer. 3,500 times. Okay? Democrats don't complain about the racism when you have the inner city failed schools. Democrats don't complain about racism when you have inner city industrialized poverty. Okay? Poverty in the inner city in America is industrialized. It is professional poverty. Okay? Generations of families of all races in abstract poverty. Baltimore, Chicago, Detroit, LA, San Francisco, just industrialized poverty. Okay? Democrats don't complain about racism when every single one of their members refuse to clap for a black girl who got into a private school at the State Union Address. Democrats didn't complain about racism when none of them stood up for a 100-year-old black man who survived 3 of the 4 20th century's greatest conflicts and was promoted to general. Okay? Democrats didn't complain about racism, don't complain about racism when the BLM riots destroyed entire black neighborhoods. If you look at the BLM riots, and I was watching in real time, if you look at the BLM riots of 2020, none of the victims were rich white people. All of the victims of the BLM riots were either black, Hispanic, Arabic, Asian, or some flavor of immigrant. Okay? The murder victims, like Captain David Dorn, Democrats didn't claim racism then. He was shot in the back, and his murder uploaded onto Facebook Live, and his own grandson happened upon the video. There was a black woman who went to a rally to support George Floyd. The rally got hostile, she feared violence, and she left. She was shot in the head and killed. Another black woman, her friends went to clean up after one of the riots, and a black man held them at gunpoint, while other black men went into one of the stores and looted. I don't know if it was the same black woman, another black woman, but there was a black woman in a supermarket videotaping everything. And half the stuff is on the floor, half the stuff is stolen. So y'all animals. She said, I'm not going to steal. I'm not going to lower myself to your level. Okay? You had stores that were catered to black people. And if you are an indigent person, and whether you're black, white, whatever you are, if you live in the inner city, having a supermarket, a pharmacy, a barber shop within walking distance is vital. Because very few people can afford to get on a bus, go to the other side of town, and get back on the bus with 20 bags of groceries. Very few people can afford to hire a cab to go to the other side of town to get a prescription. The fact that you can walk to your supermarket, pharmacy, that is vital to you. And very few guys in the inner city have a car. Some do, most don't. So when you have a pharmacy in a black neighborhood, and you have elderly black people that need their prescriptions filled, and they got to get in a cab, go to the other side of town, or ask a younger neighbor to do it for them to get the prescription filled, okay, that's a big deal to them. Also, a lot of these stores hired blacks, Hispanics, people of color. Okay? Well, most of them have been laid off for the pandemic. Those that were able to work were on limited duty because of the pandemic. And now, because of the rioting, looting, burning, bombing, they have no job. Because it will take their boss over a year to get the insurance to rebuild the store. And they've had to work for another year. Also, the merchants themselves, who are black, Hispanic, immigrant, who had to sink their life savings into these stores, had them destroyed. Maybe they can rebuild, maybe they can't. Insurance is not a magic fairy. And you had one store, it was founded by a Jew who survived the Holocaust. And the store was a liquor store, was passed down to his family living today, destroyed. You had a black man who retired from the fire department, used his pension to buy a sports bar, burned to the ground. I was one of many people who donated to help him rebuild. And he had enough money to rebuild 10 times over in his GoFundMe page. He spent his entire life risking his life for strangers. Therefore, society owes him. I didn't hear Democrats claim any of that bullshit. They complain about color because they are of color and are being attacked by the invaders in the Capitol. Oh no, we're gonna die. Okay? So color doesn't matter when a black guy has a store burned down. Color doesn't matter when an elderly black woman can't get a prescription filled. Color doesn't matter when a black kid has a part-time job and the store's burnt to the ground he works at. That doesn't matter. Color doesn't matter when a black man is shot in the back and killed. That doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck about that. But all of a sudden now, oh my God, people of color. Okay, fuck you all. Okay, fuck you all. Now, violence. When a bunch of idiots break into the Capitol, and they, it was basically juvenile behavior. Okay, it was basically frat boy behavior. A couple of guys were hurt seriously, but 90% of the guys were like frat boys walking around there. One idiot stole the fucking podium. One guy stood behind the vice president's chair. Okay, one guy walked on like a fucking shaman with the okay. I mean, it was basically like a bunch of fucking college kids that were shit-faced drunk walking around. Okay. And it was nothing compared to the BLM shit. And I'll tell you why. Because the Capitol is still standing. Now, the Capitol was founded by Washington himself. So it should stand for eons. But the fact that the Capitol is still in one piece, and the fact all the black stores, the black neighborhoods, all that shit was burned, looted, bombed, disintegrated, okay? Look at the pictures, look at the video footage of the black neighborhoods in Minneapolis or the bullshit. It looks like fucking downtown Somalia. Okay? Absolute disgrace against God. Let's talk about racism now, because racism is a big thing, right? You know, there's a lot of violence. Rashid Tlaib complained about violence. Okay, cool. Rashid Tlaib was attending a Trump rally, 2016, and video footage, it's in an auditorium. Video footage shows her jump up and charge the stage. Now, obviously, she's so far away, and the Secret Service was right there. Okay? Now, she wasn't arrested. She wasn't charged. I was told when I was a kid, if you attack a Secret Service charge, they will shoot you. Okay? She wasn't shot, wasn't arrested, wasn't charged. She was ejected. And she was elected to Congress because of that incident. And she bragged about that incident on CNN. Didn't complain about violence then? Okay, Ilhan Omar. No one complains about violence when Ilhan Omar calls for the destruction of Israel and the Jews. Okay? No one complains about all this bullshit when their own members, like former Senator Kamala Harris, are raising money for the bail funds. And former Senator Kamala Harris, one of the guys she donated to the bail fund for, one of them reoffended. If those motherfuckers went into a black neighborhood and burned it to the ground, every member of Congress would have been raising money for their bail. It's AOC, Omar, Elon, Tlaib, Pelosi, all these fuckers, they would raise money for their bail. But when it happens to me, oh my God, this is horrible. You know what it reminds me of? I said this a million times. I'll say it again. I don't give a fuck. It reminds me of Rachel Den Hollander, who spent 18 years bitching and moaning about abuse. And then right after her abuse went to prison, she saw a man being abused, and she came out in support of the abuse. And she said there wasn't enough abuse. That's what it reminds me of. Okay, you're all fucking hypocrites. You're all scum, okay? Okay, you're all scum. You have no problem watching black neighborhoods burn to the ground, but the minute someone breaks into your office, oh my God, no. It's all bullshit. You're all fucking hypocrites, okay? Fuck you all.